If there is only knowing, then does that mean that what we typically call the body, my human body, that's an emanation or a materialization of pure presence in time?
You could say that, but I'm going to I'm going to be even more radical and suggest that even that is not quite right. When you say it's a materialization of pure knowing or pure consciousness, you imply that pure knowing becomes matter. And that is not the case. Pure knowing never becomes anything other than itself. It appears as matter from the limited perspective of an individual mind. So let me give you an example to make this a little less intellectual. When you have a dream, and you've heard this example before, Kira, when you have a dream at night, you dream that you're walking on the streets of London. The streets of London are not, that they appear from the perspective of Kira walking on the streets of London to be material. But the streets of London are not a materialization of your mind. They are just the activity of your mind. Its nature hasn't changed. It hasn't ceased being consciousness and become matter. It just appears as matter from the limited perspective of the character in the dream that perceives it. So as a concession, we could say, yes, the body and the world is a materialization of consciousness, but to be strictly speaking, it's not a materialization of consciousness, it is consciousness. It just appears as matter from a limited perspective.
Wow. Does that does that also mean that the experience of illness, human illness, is also part of that dream? Or it only appears from the limited perspective of the body-mind?
Yes. Finite experience always appears to an apparently finite mind or person. The infinite cannot know the finite directly. So in order to have an experience of a finite world or a finite body or illness, that experience has to be known from the perspective of a finite mind.
So I have been having two seemingly different experiences. One being in the waking state, experiencing the body as a dense physical object and having all these, strange sensations. And yet, when I go within, I can't find any evidence that the body is anything other than consciousness itself.
Yes.
Do I get to choose between the two? I've been bouncing back and forth.
It's not necessary to choose between them. It's like when you go for a a walk in the landscape and you take your binoculars with you, you can either look at the binoculars, you can either look at the landscape without the binoculars, or you can look through the binoculars. You have the choice of two different perspectives. So your internal experience, if you were to close your eyes now, as you quite rightly said, you don't actually experience the body as a physical body. You experience the body as a flow of sensations appearing in consciousness, made of consciousness. That's your internal experience of the body. Now, if you then open your eyes and you look at your body to the extent that you can look at it, the appearance, the visual appearance of your body is how that internal activity of sensations appears from the outside. They're two different views, an internal and an external, an intrinsic and an extrinsic view of the same activity of consciousness.
Wow. So does this mean that we as presence can heal the human form? Or
what it means is that you can know yourself as presence, and in doing so know that what you already are doesn't require healing. You can't mix the levels.
right.
You either know yourself as consciousness, and consciousness is whole. As you know, that's what the word health means. It means wholeness. So consciousness knows nothing of sickness. The infinite cannot know sickness or death or suffering. It can only know the whole. There can only be sickness, death, and suffering from the perspective of a part, a fragment. And so you can either know yourself as consciousness, as perfect health now, complete, whole, no suffering, no death. Or you can take out your binoculars and look at your experience through the limited perspective of your mind, in which case you will see a woman of a certain age who has some health issues, and etc. And that's not an incorrect view. It's just a limited view. So both of these views, I am pure consciousness and perfectly healthy, and the view, I am a body that has health issues and wants to heal myself, to improve my health. Both these points of view are valid on the level on which they are spoken.
Okay, I think I understand.
Now you could just to refer back to your question about consciousness healing the body, you could ask the question, well, would knowing myself as consciousness, taking the first point of view, have a healing effect on the body that I perceive from the second point of view? And we could say that that part of illness that is caused by the belief in separation may be healed when that belief disappears. However, not all illness is caused by the belief in separation. And that part of any illness that is not caused by the belief in separation will not be cured by the remedy or the disappearance of that belief.
What's an example of a part of an illness that might be caused by the belief in separation?
Let's say, I'm going to give let's take the example of anxiety. Let's say that someone is so anxious and fearful that their body is without their realizing it, in an almost continual state of tension. The muscles in the back of their neck are all knotted up, and as a result of this, they experience regular headaches. The headaches are a direct result of the tension in the muscles, and the tension in the muscles are a direct result of anxiety, and the anxiety is a direct result of the feeling of separation. I am a temporary finite self. So, going in the other direction, the sense of separation disappears, the tension disappears, the muscles relax, the headache goes. However, if you are fully aware of yourself as unlimited, perfectly healthy, whole, inherently peaceful consciousness, and you are walking down the street and you trip and you fall over and you bang your head on the pavement, you will also have a headache. But the cause of your headache is not the belief in separation. So knowing yourself as infinite consciousness won't necessarily get rid of your headache. Same symptom, two different causes and two different remedies.
That's incredibly helpful. Thank you so much, Rupert.